Welcome. Hey, everyone, yeah. Welcome, everyone. My name is Brett Anderson. I'm the Business Development Manager for our Olaf's Globetrotters. So I'd love to introduce you guys to our lovely team, which is Sonia and Diana, our directors of the company. We've got two brilliant tech recruiters, which is Marley and Alzan. Brilliant. And I just want to take you through some house rules. Currently, the toilets are down there for the people that are currently here, down there where the big sign says toilets. And after the presentation, we will be doing the Q&A session as well. So we are providing the snacks and drinks as well for the networking event. So this is an event for everyone to just mingle, get to know each other, just have a chat. But the whole point of this is for everyone to get used to the fact that we are in a moment, we're in a situation where tech is growing at a phenomenal rate, and that everyone has to basically upskill yourselves. And the whole point is for us to bring in subject matter experts so that you can upskill and keep relevant in the market currently. So with that being said, we do have various different things that we are going to be giving you guys. For the people that are currently here, we have some goodies that we're going to be sending to you guys. So I don't know if you guys have filled in your details in the register, but those are going to be arriving at your doorstep. Make sure you put the right information down because you don't want to go to some other people, obviously. And yeah, so without further ado, I just want to also mention the fact that we are bringing in people that are very skilled in their market itself. And obviously, you guys being in tech, it can't hurt going into different areas, understanding what it is that is out there. So right now, we do have a subject matter expert and a master, Alessandro Boza. I met with him a year ago, and he hosted some of the best meetups that I've been to. And he is an Italian master at Kubernetes, and he actually created and he started up the KubeCon movement. And there's a very big event coming up in Rye. That's a convention center in Amsterdam, but unfortunately it's fully booked. I'll try to get some tickets, but he said, unfortunately, I'm not a speaker. So yeah, so he's hosting that, but it's a very big movement. So Kubernetes is the way forward right now. So he's going to be taking us through some of the do's and don'ts, and obviously dive into some details. So afterwards, you guys are more than welcome to ask some questions, but until then, welcome, guys. Alessandro, please take it.
Thank you, Brett, for a nice introduction, and thank you, everybody, for being here. Yes, indeed, I love to talk about Kubernetes, and it's just something that I love. It's like, you have to stop me. I know I only have half an hour, so let me know when I'm getting there, because I have the UD. I mean, come on, I am the guy, right? So, to talk about Kubernetes. So yes, it's sold out completely. My wife is first in line if I find a ticket, of course. But yes, if I found some, I'll definitely keep you in mind. And otherwise, we'll talk about the community side of things. It's very, very important to me. So, first of all, I really appreciate what you do. I feel in my life, tech really transformed my life. I mean, I was the geeky kid. I was like 8 years old, tinkering on some Commodore 64. I've been doing tech all my life, and I wouldn't know what to do without it. And I think it really can transform lives for the good, right? So not only what we see, the advent of the AI, but tech can really, really have a transformative power in society. And I think we should all work together to extract the maximum value from this tech. And if you can change the life of one person comes from somewhere else to come here to work and then embrace technology and a new life, it's really something. So I really appreciate what you do. So a little bit about me, of course. I'm 47 since 3 days, and I'm Italian. I'm from the south. I came here 20 years ago to get my PhD in chemistry, and then I stayed because I really fell in love. I changed career at some point. I finished my PhD and moved to IT, to do what I really love to do. And I'm blessed because I love what I do. I get paid for it, pretty good money, and I get to meet a lot of interesting people. So that's, I hope everybody could say the same about their professional life and their life in general. So I live in Amsterdam as well, 20 years. Yes, I do not speak fluent Dutch, but I'm working on it for 20 years. But I speak fluent Kubernetes, so that's why we are here. So I'm going to talk about what it is and why it's important and why now and who is the people behind it, right? So there's always people behind the tech. This beautiful code, this great code, amazing stuff, there's always somebody making it, right? So, and these real people like me and you maybe, and anybody that really wants to collaborate. So there's nothing magic, there's nothing really special. Just a bunch of people getting together because they love what to do, what they do. They love to contribute and build something together. So that's real drive here. So that's real the community value. Why am I talking about this? Because I am luckily for me, it's an honor to be once again an ambassador for the Cloud Native Computing Foundation. So what does it mean to be an ambassador? It's an honorary title. I don't get paid. Sometimes I get like a bit of swags, like t-shirts and hoodies, of course. But other than that is the privilege to talk about and to represent the foundation and the community behind Kubernetes and many other projects in meetups, conferences, casual conversations. Whenever I hear Kubernetes, I just, some alarm goes off in my head and I start talking about it. So that's, being an ambassador is just people that organize local communities. And I do organize the local meetup, we'll talk about it. And because of that, I became, or they made me, as an ambassador for the Cloud Native Computing Foundation, which is one of the largest non-profit foundations in free software. Right, so I don't know if you know Linux. I've been around. I remember when Linux came out. I mean, there was a thing. I was 16. Linux is managed as a project by a foundation because it's so important. You can't really leave this stuff in the hands of private companies. OpenAI, anyone? So take a hint, right? So this thing is so important. It runs the world. Your hospitals, your car. This projector, everything really runs on Linux. You don't want to leave that to a private company, to a single or a corporation or a bunch or a conglomerate of companies. You want to manage it for the good of the people, for the good of for the advancement of society. So that's why the Linux Foundation was founded by Linus Torvalds, and then it became kind of the foundation managing a lot of other projects, including the Cloud Native Computing Foundation that managed Kubernetes. So when Google, and let me, well, that's a bit of history here. So in 2014, Google released Kubernetes on GitHub. And then immediately, people realized this is too important, it's going to be big, and we need to manage it. We need to apply some governance, right? So, and then the CNCF was formed under the umbrella of the Linux Foundation. So CNCF is a daughter foundation of the Linux Foundation to manage Kubernetes as a project. So what does it do? Organize KubeCon. So it's a non-profit, of course, but they handle a lot of money. There's a lot of companies contributing to it, and users as well. You can contribute to it. You can be part of it. It's a big house where everybody can collaborate and live under a big umbrella. And so the CNCF is one of the most important foundations out there. And it's has its flaws, of course, but it's our common house where we can live together. So it started with one project, Kubernetes, and then started to acquire. People were willing to donate their projects to the foundation. Why? Because you get better governance. You are not just a lonely open source maintainer of your project. Now you are part of a big organization, can promote your project, can help you marketing, with deciding the roadmap. It's just a better way to work in open source. So now we have 154 projects, 200,000 contributors globally. Not on Kubernetes only, I think it's under 20,000 developers that ever contributed to Kubernetes, and so much more, and is present everywhere. So what does it do? It promotes the ideas or the paradigm of cloud native computing. Now, what it is cloud? This is very confusing. You ask 10 people, you get 11 answers of what is cloud native computing. So it's a bit vague, but in the end, it's all about a modern way to think about applications. Right? So we thought about applications as monoliths, and in cloud native computing, we think about applications as microservices. So we work with more with microservices than monolith. We apply the 12 up principles, right? So those principles that describes how to create better microservices. We talk about API first. So when you create your application, think about the API and interfaces. And definitely cloud native is synonym or very likely including concept like containers. Now, if you don't know what a container is, that's okay. That's what I'm here for. And there are entire courses, there's plenty of information out there. But a container is really a modern way to package and ship applications. It's the same paradigm, it's the same revolution that in logistics had the shipping container, the actual box where you see moving around ships and ports and trucks. That thing revolutionized and made possible ordering something on AliExpress today and get it next week. This is inconceivable in a world where every vendor, a shipping company has its own standard of packaging stuff. This is impossible when you have competing interests and everybody wants to have his own, wants to win. But because the logistic companies like Maersk and others, they came together and say, let's stop the madness. Let's fix on one standard for shipping, the shipping container. Then that kind of triggered the revolution. And then this is what happens with Docker containers. You ever heard of Docker? They didn't reinvent the wheel. They didn't make something out of the new. They just reused some technology, and they say now you can package your application in this standard container, literally almost like a shipping container, and then you can give it to people. You can send it to somebody. You can upload it to a registry, download it, run it there, run it anywhere, and it works just the same. So it's the standardization that triggered the cloud native computing revolution. And this is what the Cloud Native Computing Foundation calls the landscape. So this is the landscape of cloud native computing, right? So it's a bit confusing. We show this to impress people and say, hey, look, it's so complicated. But in fact, like, you don't need to use 99% of this stuff, right? So you actually you can pick and choose what you like. They're all kind of cloud native friendly software projects. Not all of these are actually CNCF projects. These are the graduated projects. So they are, I think, for 30 something. The most important, the first one to be graduated. So graduation means maturity of the project. So you start with incubated, like just don't use it in production. It's probably just not really reliable. Then you start at sandbox. Sandbox is just whatever. And then incubated is maturing, is getting there. Then graduated is production ready, people use it. Probably some or all of these projects handle your credit card transactions. handles the train schedule. So this is real stuff that powers the world. So this is no joke. It's and there's a responsibility for the foundation to run this project on like a Swiss clock. They work, they get updates, they get taken care of. So these are the graduated projects. So the production ready stuff. Go for it. Don't come to me, of course, if they don't work. But go to the project and complain or help getting better. And these are the incubated projects. There are so many. It's just so cool. Some of them are pretty. They're about to become graduated, of course. So there's a way to progress through to graduation. So this is instead today. So this is contributors to in CNCF. See 180,000. Not all of them, of course, are Kubernetes. Many of them. I think good half of it are Kubernetes, but don't quote me on that. But it's all this data is public, right? So CNCF publish everything. And these are the members, of course. So more people want to join. It's a bit it's expensive. I mean, you have to pay a fee to be part of CNCF because it's a non-profit. So they don't sell anything. They just make money because for donations of the members. So the growth is pretty striking, right? So this is the real thing. So I'm one of them, of course. And my company is one of these, of course, and it's growing and it's not stopping, it's not slowing down. There's real trend in adopting open source standards, cloud native computing paradigm. It's pretty clear. So what do I do? What's the way that you can also get involved? So community, right? So all this stuff is impossible to do without a strong community behind it, right? So it's not, I thought for a long time, my thing is community. So I started 10 years ago with DevOps Meetup Amsterdam. I was in between jobs. Maybe you are now. You can start your own meetup. So I started DevOps Meetup Amsterdam more like a joke. I thought yeah, let's do it. Now there are meetups every night, but at the time there were not many. And DevOps was even yeah, there was only one DevOps conference happened in the world. And I thought, let's see what this DevOps thing is. And I thought, well, I think I know DevOps, but how do I really know until I talk to somebody and confront my notes, or talk about it. And I think that's why community is so important. You get better because you actually put yourself in the game and talk about it. Then I move on and we did DevOps Days Amsterdam. I ran the OpenStack meetup when OpenStack was a thing. And then 6 years ago, more or less, I bet my career on Kubernetes, and that's where I am now. I organize the Dutch Kubernetes meetup and the Kubernetes Community Days, so which are a mini KubeCon in a way, like small conferences, very local. We had one in February. It was amazing because we had local end users, Rabobank, ING, Picnic, Booking, you name it. All Dutch customers, all using Kubernetes, all loving it, more or less, but definitely here to stay, right? So you don't need to love Kubernetes to talk about it. Of course, it's not the panacea. It's not fixing every problem. It's not going to grow your airbag, but it's pretty cool. And the more we use it, the better it becomes. So this is KCDs, happens anywhere. Is there a KCD in South Africa? I'm not sure. Shall we organize one? Well, not me, because I live here, but I'm definitely going to help. If you need any help, just let me know. Come to Slack, and we can talk about it. And I'd love to attend, of course. So let's get technical a bit, because I didn't know there's people technical, but I mean, eventually with me, things get technical anyway. So these are This is what I was talking about. This is a shipping container. Great. So imagine your application is in there and can be run at scale easily, but then not always, of course, there's always something you have to think about. Okay, you have this big infrastructure now, you love containers, you run, it was on my laptop, great. Now I want to run it in production, at scale, reliably, enters Kubernetes. So that's why Google had the same problem before everybody else, of course, because it's Google, right? So they used to run, in 2016, 2 billion containers per week. So every time you search something in Google, there's a little container that comes up, it does the search for you, and then dies. That's what they say. I mean, of course, like you have to trust them. I've never worked at Google, but so they face this problem already at that scale, planet scale, and they invented a thing called Borg to solve the problem, to orchestrate containers at Google scale. And then, because they are nice people, they say, and because it's not their core business, right? So it's not, they didn't make money out of Borg. They make money with search and advertisement. So they say, okay, let's get this thing and put it out there. And that's what you could do in your own company. It shows that you understand open source and you believe in open source, and you go and you can help other people. So 2014, they say, well, dear GitHub, here's the code, have fun with it. Not exactly, of course. They really wanted this to be a thing. And so they were the first to commit to GitHub organization Kubernetes of the repo Kubernetes. You can actually go back in time and see 2014, the first commit. So what does it do? Like, it's nothing magic. It's not. I know that some people are scared of it. Like, I don't understand it. I don't know what it is. Tell me, Alessandro, what it is. It's a container orchestration. It's not nothing arcane or anything. It takes your container, call it pod, and runs it somewhere. So it manages a bunch of machines, bunch of servers, and turns them into a cluster, right? So it goes from a single machine to now you have a bunch of machines, and you call it cluster, and you can run something on it, and that's it. So it's nothing really out of this world. Again, just reusing ideas and components from the past, just in a better way. Runs everywhere, so runs on, you name it, on-premise, my laptop, Azure, AWS. So that's the power of open source. Microsoft or Amazon or Google will never even think about running their own version of Kubernetes. They will cut themselves out of the market. They will make an island of proprietary Kubernetes. They will keep them out of the general usefulness of Kubernetes. So nobody does that. You want to run Kubernetes? That's vanilla. That's the Kubernetes you get from GitHub, like everybody else. You don't add anything because people don't like that. They just want to have a managed service, but just pure upstream, we call it Kubernetes. And runs containers for you and keeps them healthy. It's like a pet clinic for pods, right? So they die or they get unhealthy. Kubernetes will take care of them, runs them at scale. You want more, can scale them down. You want to monitor them, no problem. Kubernetes gives you the hooks and the points where you can observe your application through containers. General architecture, there is a controller. We actually don't call them master anymore because it's political charge name, but it's a controller. It's just a client-server architecture. It's been around for decades. There's a client and there's a server. They talk to each other. They manage. They make sure that your containers, your pods, run properly and effectively. And that's really all there is. You talk to the master and you tell the master, hey, I want X. So, and the last concept, or one idea I want to transmit. So this comes from control theory. So Kubernetes is a state machine. It's a state machine. You give Kubernetes your desired state. You tell Kubernetes, hey, I want these containers, this app, and I want so many replicas, and I wanted to expose it to the outside world in this way. You don't tell how to do it, you tell your desired state. And Kubernetes has a way, a reconciliation loop, looks at your desired state, looks at the actual state of the cluster, and as a way knows how to reconcile the two things. And it does everything until your desired state equals the actual state. And if it doesn't, it couldn't, gives you an error. See, it's so simple. So simple. And this is very central to Kubernetes. This controller loops, reconciliation loops, they are really all there is about Kubernetes. It's just your majordomo, right? So you tell, clean the room. You're not gonna say, use the broom, use the robot. You just want the room clean. So Kubernetes is gonna go and clean the room for you, but it's not gonna be picky about how it does it. And lastly, it's very modular. So that's the beauty of open architectures. Yes, there's an API, and you can build on top of it. So this is, if you ever design a system, please, I beg you, make it extensible, make it pluggable. So give some same defaults. Batteries included but swappable. It's like Kubernetes. For example, you have a scheduler. It's there. Very few people actually need to replace the built-in scheduler, but you can. You can extend it. You can replace it. You can do something with it, as long as you stay within the specification. Everything is possible. So I'm done. So well, actually, one more thing. How do you get involved? Come to the next meetup. I'm not going to be there, but you can be there. As my good friend Andrea, also organizer of Kubernetes Meetup in KCD, Amsterdam, organized this. So just get involved. Just get your feet out of the couch and get to meet the people. Because in the end, so technology is great, it works, doesn't work, it doesn't really matter. It's the people that matters. So yes, Kubernetes, we can talk about it for hours, but in the end, we can have a pizza together, we can exchange stories, and it's all about this, right? So in the end, the real power, like I always say, I'm an extrovert engineer, which is like a unicorn in the industry. I'm not really, I'm an introvert, pretending to be extrovert. It works the same, so you could be there. So, thank you. Prego.
Well, thank you everyone for joining. Look, it's so true what Sandro said. It's very important for us to realize that there aren't actually a lot of us South Africans here in the Netherlands. There are, I mean, like if you look at the numbers, it shows a lot, but we as a nation, we do stick very close to each other, and we do find that if we do come across each other out in the streets or on a train or a bus, that we do tend to stick to each other very closely. So the next meetup, if you guys know of any other South Africans that might be interested in joining up and just learning more skills or techniques that might be out there, or if you guys have any people to push our way, like there's other companies that you are aware of that are looking for people, this is what we do. We place South Africans into companies. So we obviously want more of what we feel comfortable with. So let us help you do that by opening the door to a lot more people. We obviously know what's happening back in SA. We don't need to even go into that conversation at the moment. But at the end of the day, if you have any other ideas of what you guys want to be a part of, so like if there's any other things that you want to learn, if there's other subjects that you might think that is really up and coming in the market at the moment, just let us know, drop us an email and say, I would love to learn this the next time. I mean, Alessandro's got a lot of experts in that he's aware of, like Docker, like all the other different types of people. So I'm sure we'd be able to get a couple of people through him, but also through you guys if you guys want anything else, or if there's anything else that can make it more exciting, like bring in more peripherals roles or whatever, because this is our way of connecting South African tech talent and merging the two. So please open your minds, open your voices, and type emails and just let us know, because this is what we're here for. Cool. So, well, guys, we're going to be doing the networking now, so we're going to have some drinks and some portals. Sorry. Are there any questions currently? Yeah, perhaps online. For Alessandro, not for me. With Kubernetes.
No questions have come through yet. Where will this next meetup be?
In Amsterdam. We are called Dutch Kubernetes Meetup, so we used to be very Amsterdam centric, but we would like actually to organize everywhere, because there's not only Amsterdam in the Netherlands, right? So yeah. We actually had meetups in Groningen and Den Haag already last year. So we are open. If you have an office, Houten, we can organize one anywhere you want. Yeah, but this one in particular is in Amsterdam.
We've got a question from Jacob for Alessandro. Which certification would be beneficial to get into Kubernetes?
Certifications.
Yeah.
I'm the right person. I'm a certified trainer for Kubernetes certifications by the Linux Foundation. So, well, it depends. So there are three main ones. There are four. One is the introductory one, right? The really like the basic stuff is good. You're young. You want to just show that you are interested. Get that. It's very simple. I mean, then there is a CKA, Certified Kubernetes Administrator, for infrastructure people. It's about deploying, installing, troubleshooting the cluster itself. Then Certified Kubernetes Application Developer is for a developer, so you don't deal that much with the nitty-gritty details, but you are deploying your application, so how you build, volumes, this sort of thing. So it's very important. It's very good to have if you are a developer, pure developer, and then certified Kubernetes security specialist, which is big topic now. Security. This thing is used anywhere, everywhere. So it's a big target. It's a big crosshair painted on the back of Kubernetes. So we need more security specialists. That's it's going to be big. If you can get into this container security, secure supply chain, so how to build secure images, the world is your oyster, and there's a lot of work to do. So
brilliant. The second question is basically in the same line. Is there a course that Alessandro would recommend to do?
Yes, so there are plenty of free courses. There's free resources. We understand that watching YouTube videos is not the best way to learn. So this thing is really something you gotta do. Get your terminal and start typing. The exams of the certification are fully 100% hands-on. There's no question. You have to do something. So you better get your Linux terminal skills up and running properly, and then get into doing Kubernetes. It's the only way to learn.
And then they just ask, is it possible to share the presentation?
Of course.
Yeah. Great. We will do that.
You have the PDF, so I can share.
So there's one question from Sweetanshu. How can a student from zero learn about Kubernetes and learn open source development for free and get a remote job? So that's a big challenge.
Well, that's the question.
Well, I think you have to crawl, walk, run, and then fly. So there is a lot to learn before. So Kubernetes is like the end game, right? So but you gotta know your game. So networking, storage, basic Linux, Docker. Yes, you can jump into Kubernetes, but you're not gonna get the whole picture. So better to get your basic stuff really strong. I'm lucky because I'm doing this stuff since I was a kid, so I knew this stuff even before. But for a kid today, we were discussing with somebody, kids, like, young professionals today, they skip too much, especially about networking. They don't get TCP, IP, and HTTP protocol. I know it's boring, but it really helps. Like all these API of Kubernetes, HTTP API. So you can understand a bit of what is a packet and how does it do, what does the network stuff. So it's boring, definitely boring, but if you get that, then everything else is easier.
Yeah, the journey.
Yeah. So kids nowadays.
Yeah.
And we've got a question from Josh. What are some of the main competitors for the Kubernetes ecosystem?
There is none. There were a few. They're all gone. Maybe it's a bad thing. So 2014, there were a bunch of competitors, Docker Swarm, Mesos made by Twitter, Twitter, big installations. Recently, like a year ago, Twitter moved to Kubernetes. That means something, right? So Cloud Foundry, Pivotal, bought by VMware, thrown in the bin for Kubernetes. So there's literally no competition on the orchestration layer. There's probably Nomad from HashiCorp, but 1% of the market. So Kubernetes is the operating system. And then what goes on top, for example, security scanning, monitoring, still there is some competition there. But as they call Kubernetes the operating system of the cloud. So it's becoming electricity. Is that competition? No, it's just there, right? So it's a given. So learn it because it's not going to go away. Next 10 years, 20 years, we don't know, but it's they always say, serverless is the year of serverless. It's like it's the year of Linux on the desktop, right? So, and it's never there. While people predict trends, Kubernetes just gets everything. So it's a really good bet for a career.
I'll just check if there are any more questions in the group.
I have also a question. Since you mentioned Spark, what's the difference between Kubernetes, Docker Swarm, and Docker Compose?
Yeah, so Docker Swarm was, because it doesn't exist anymore, it's actually been abandoned. It was also a way to orchestrate containers over a number of machines, but didn't have for example, the reconciliation loops, the ideas behind Kubernetes, they were not there. They were just very imperative. This is what you should do it. It didn't last that long. It's a simpler system, but it lacks a lot of the features, and eventually it was abandoned by Docker himself. So they don't support it anymore. I know people are using it, but it's their choice, and there's zero traction. So there is no development in Docker Swarm anymore, so there's no point. Docker Compose is just a way to run multiple containers. Just instead of running Docker run for one container, Docker Compose just helps you running multiple containers, but it's still on one machine. So it's good for development. Some developers use Docker Compose to try out their thing, but in the end, that architecture, that composition of containers, they have to run on Kubernetes if you want to run them in production. So yes, and then what? Most developers, they just create the Kubernetes cluster on their laptops to try and to approximate better production systems. So
another question is, how is Kubernetes helpful in DevOps?
Two concepts are kind of parallel, right? It's parallel. So DevOps is much more than Kubernetes, and Kubernetes is much more than DevOps, right? So DevOps for me is more about your attitude and your ethics. Like it's soft skills, like how you think about your work. You are a developer, I'm an operation. Shall we fight or have a beer together and solve the problem? And of course, there's a lot more. There's agile in there. So Can you do DevOps with Kubernetes? Absolutely. It's even easier for you with containers, Kubernetes. And can you do Kubernetes without DevOps? Sure, you can just be how do you call it? The bastard operator from hell, the bot, right? So, and then do Kubernetes and be not nice to your developers. It's not because you use Kubernetes, it makes you a nice guy, right? So that's the ideas, they feed into each other. Of course, you want to do DevOps, Kubernetes is just there, it's so much more fun than virtual machines, but you don't need to. So you can do DevOps with serverless or whatever and still be a DevOps person.
Yeah, that's. There's one question. Do you think that as Kubernetes matures, more and more companies will start to move away from big cloud providers and run Kubernetes?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so we drink the Kool-Aid of cloud and we thought, this is awesome. We're just going to be on the cloud. But as a matter of fact, there's a lot of companies are actually reevaluating their cloud footprint and moving back to on-premise. In fact, we will need more engineers that understand good old cooling and powers and how to provision a physical server. It's kind of we're losing that knowledge a bit. And guess what? Kubernetes makes it easy because it runs the same. The developers don't even need to know, is this Kubernetes cluster on-premise? Is it in the cloud? I really don't care. I just write my YAML, my templates, and my job is done. And then, so it actually makes it easier for companies to choose between on-premise, a mix of it. Probably most companies will be better off by using a mix. On-premise for workloads, they are stable and bursting in the cloud or geographical reach. If you want to be in Japan and you don't want to buy a data center in Japan, then you better ask Microsoft. They have a data center there. But the skill here that is needed is to understand how to connect the dots on-premise, hybrid cloud. Still not easy, but it's doable. With Kubernetes, it gets easier.
And got two more questions. One is from Iacomocho. Would you say that long-running containers still provide benefits compared to traditional virtualization?
Most containers are long-running. That's it. So that's the whole idea of a container. It stays there and does its job. Virtual machines, they have a place. I work for a company called Solo.io, by the way, so I didn't mention. And we connect virtual machines, on-premise, clusters all together through service mesh. And that's a whole new topic, a whole different topic. We can talk about it next time. Because there's still some virtual machine needed. You don't impose, right? So it's not like Kubernetes. It's not like Borg, like the system, that everybody has to accept the default. It helps. It's pluggable, so you can also run virtual machines in Kubernetes. You can do crazy stuff. It's all made possible because it's an open, pluggable platform that you can just run whatever you like.
So this is, I think, ties into this question. So from Iacobenchi is, does Kubernetes have high availability features? What happens if you're a host running Kubernetes goes down?
Yeah.
Is it seen as full failover possible to other hosts? Also, would it be advisable running Kubernetes in a virtual machine?
Yes. I should have been more technical, maybe. Kubernetes does a thing called self-healing. So you can go to sleep at night, and we don't even get alerts anymore when one of the nodes in a cluster goes down. Who cares? Kubernetes will take care of it, right? So we'll reschedule that pod somewhere else while I wake up and I maybe fix that node. If I want, I can also just replace it. It's better. We don't fix things anymore in IT. we kill them, shoot them in the head, and replace them. It's easier, cheaper in time, and we don't troubleshoot anymore, go into the virtual machine, fix it. It's just thing of the past. It was fun, but time consuming. Now we just get a fresh one. It's a cloud, so just click or even automate the whole thing. And so Kubernetes, I didn't say it, but one of the problems it solves is self-healing. It's because it's converging to your desired state. If something goes wrong, it knows, you gotta trust the system. I mean, trust our robot overlords to do the right thing. And the right thing in this case is rebalancing the application, the workload, in a way that stays up and does what it needs to do.
Yeah, we've got a couple of more questions
Wow,
again, but that's okay.
Sure.
From Chantal, she asked, do you think OpenAI will at some point influence Kubernetes in terms of rights?
There is already somebody beat everybody else. So there's a thing called K8S. By the way, when you hear or you read K8S, it means Kubernetes, because between the K and the S, there are 8 characters. So there's a thing called K8S GPT. So somebody trained ChatGPT about solving troubleshooting Kubernetes. So you can, and somebody is already integrating their products. It will suggest what to do. It will suggest you should do this and that, and it's a
Scary world.
we're not gonna have a job anymore. So. I think we should all be farmers.
And then from Stephen is migrating an app to Kubernetes a complex task? How long does the process take usually?
Depends if it's Java. No, it's no, it's not. So if it can be containerized, it can run in Kubernetes. So really not. It's more. The question is more like, can I containerize an application? 99% of cases, yes. You should have already. By the way, it's 2023. But if you didn't, then there's a lot of opportunities now to containerize. Once it's a container, like the shipping container, runs anywhere. So yeah. But again, if it's Java, call me.
All right, that's all the questions from the online group. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you very much, everyone. And yeah, now we head off to network in Boral.